Ah, I didn't see you come in, my new students. Welcome to the School of Sorcery. Today we're going to be taking a look at the arcane artifacts and curious curios. Make sure you stay tuned to the rest of the show for more. Welcome back to the show. You are watching Game Brigade. I'm your host, Brian, and today in the show we're going to be doing a review of School of Sorcery. If you are new to the show, we do reviews, previews, and playthroughs of your favorite games, so if you're new here, please consider subscribing. So we're going to be taking a look at School of Sorcery. This is brought to you by Dr. Finn's Games. It's a 2-player game, completed in about 40 minutes, and it's from ages 14 and up. We have recently gotten this game and played a few times. I've gotten a really good feel for it. I wanted to make sure I gave you guys my opinion and to see if this might be worth something you should be checking out. So what is School of Sorcery? Well, it's a dice rolling game where you're going to be casting cards, assigning to dice, and they're going to be using a dashboard of magical cards up here to compete for their powers and eventually the victory points that they're going to be signing. So how does the game work? Each player, there's 2 wizards. I call it the Amber Wizard and the Sapphire Wizard. You can name them whatever you wish to name them. And each player will roll their dice simultaneously. Once you've cast your dice, that's how we kind of call it, each player will have a deck of 6 cards that they will then cast, assigning to the dice. The goal is you're going to be taking your crystals when you cast them to assign them to these cards up here. Each card is tied to a location. So we have the dormitories, the quad, the dining hall, the students' lab, you have the groundskeeper, and then you have the artifact land. So each section is a location of the School of Sorcery. Each card is assigned to one of those. And you can see here we have numbers 1, 2, 3, up to 6. So you're going to have 5 crystals at the beginning of the round. We take our 5 crystals. We roll our dice. And then based on the cards that we have in our hand, we'll be playing these cards to a section. And you do this simultaneously. This is a simultaneous play. So there's both players will be doing this at a time. I'm just going to put down some random cards for now just to show you the effect. So you've cast your 3 spells, both players will do it, and you reveal it. So for example, I reveal this one. It shows a single crystal and it's going to the 4th, so I'll take 1 crystal and assign it to right now, which is the Spear of Destiny. You'll do that with each subsequent card. So this is a non-cast, I'm not sending anything there, and this is a 2 cast, but it has a symbol showing a reverse sign. What that means is I'm actually going to reverse it, and I'm going to send 2 crystals to the 3 mark, and that would be the dragon tooth. My opponent will do the exact same thing at that period of time, and let's just put some crystals on the board to kind of represent what they've done, and show you how it goes. Once all the crystals have been assigned in the casting phase, we then activate the portal. So in this situation, the portal is a way to transfer your card, your tokens to any tile that you want. And so the Sapphire player says, I want to go there for whatever reason. After that, we then have our special powers here. These are assigned at the beginning of the game. Each player will take 2. This also starts off with how much power you'll be having in your victory points in the beginning of the game. So these are each worth 1 point. Well, these are each worth 2 points. So you can see that the first player starts already off with 4 points. Well, this guy only has 2 points. Once these players have assigned their powers, we then review the top of the cards to see, has anyone met any of the completions? Currently, we have 1 player who has met a completion. On the Dragon's Tooth, at the top, you'll see it shows 2, then 1 for the numbers. The 2 means how many crystals a player has to have on the card to win it, and the 1 is the margin. So currently you have to have at least 1 more than your opponent to win the card. This is met, so the players would return their crystals. The margin actually will go back to this player for their supply, and this player would earn this card. This repeats. This system repeats. The portal will shift down. There's additional rules in that. And then at the completion, you'll be gathering these victory points at the top, and different cards have different victory points. And whoever reaches 13 overall will be the winner. The game is completed in about 30 to 45 minutes in our playthroughs. The more you know the game, the more you know the powers of each individual card. We found that the playthroughs were quicker than our earlier runs, where we were still learning how each system went. But overall, I would say 35 to 45 minutes is a rough estimate in terms of setup. In terms of starting, setup is very, very easy. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes, depending if you're doing it by yourself, if your partner's going to be helping you. Setup, definitely not a problem. One of the things that I like to talk about in terms of a game for me is the gameplay. How does the gameplay feel? How are the decision-making aspects? And how do they impact me as a player? Now, for this scenario that I started off with, I did a basic random. I just randomly played out some cards. But there is some strategic decision-making that happens here. As the game goes on, your opponent will have some points. You'll have some points. And each of the individual cards up here has a specific power to them that can affect the gameplay either immediately or give your opponent a power that they can use later, or they'll have a permanent effect that they can use round over round. Each of the colors here, you have yellow, red, and green, represents the type of effect that card applies. So the decision-making process is deep enough to the point to make you think, but not to the point where you're going to feel like you're going to have analysis paralysis. We're going to be sitting there thinking too much about what do I need to do. We didn't have too many instances where a bad decision would end up derailing the entire game. So don't feel like you need to sit here and stress about, wow, do I need to make the right cast? Do I need to, do I want to send this here or there? The catch-up mechanic, especially with the fact of the margin, if you've at least paid something on a card, returning back to you into your supply instead of going to back to the box, allows you to then on subsequent turns bid more crystals than the starting 5 that you get each round. So the catch-up mechanic's there to help people who have made poor decisions and allow people who are down in the VP to kind of keep games tight. Most of the games we played were fairly tight in terms of the victory points. I will say I didn't feel like there was ever a moment where one person was gunning and were way clearly ahead. But I also didn't feel like the better I played, like if I felt like I was making better decisions, I didn't feel like I was being rewarded as well for that. The game artificially kind of keeps you in line. To give you an example of that, I would say is like Mario Kart. If anyone plays any of those old SNES games, didn't matter how much you blue shelled someone or hit someone with a turtle shell, it seemed like they were still always in the game no matter what. The rubber band effect keeping people in line. I felt like that was here heavily, which depending on your complexity level in terms of what you appreciate in your games, I could see that as a drawback. For me, it was a little bit of a drawback because I like to feel like I've made some meaningful decisions that have impacted the game. And while they are there, they're not meaningful enough to me to feel like this was a very strong game. I do find that the art direction, the colors, the overall aesthetic feel of the game is very family friendly. And I think this game, although it tiers here, it says ages 14, I feel like it's very geared for young adult audiences. I think the level complexity of the game, which I would rate it as low or light, is a perfect entry level game to 2-player dice rolling games for young adults. Really think it's a good aesthetically pleasing game. There's enough variety in the card and the deck to make things interesting for replayability. Overall, it's a well-made game. Dr. Finn has always done very well in terms of their game's design. The cards are well made. I really like the crystals. The crystals are really nice and well made. The dice are very basic, but they fit. They don't really harm anything. Overall, the aesthetics is good. Nothing here though is standoffish. I do think that the reroll tokens that they have here are a little lower quality than what I would expect, but they work. They do exactly what they need to do, and they're so minorly used, or they're not really affecting the game that much, that the aesthetics of the cardboard tokens, they're not bad. Overall though, I think the gameplay is fun, it's easy to do, not too heavily complex. So overall opinion, would I recommend this game? Yes, I would recommend it, but there's a caveat there. This game I really feel is great for people who are looking for a low to light competitive game to offer some complexity in terms of learning how to make decisions that can be impactful, but not enough for the person who's making those decisions are going to feel like they are punished to the point that it's no longer fun. There are games out there where when you make a bad decision, they punish you to the point that you learn next time, don't make that mistake, because it was so unfun to play that game again, to finish that game because of that bad mistake. I didn't feel like that was here. So I really appreciate that, and that's one of the reasons why I think this game might be great for an audience that's a young adult. So there's not an intimidation factor to scare them away from the game. I would rate this game currently on my recommendation list. I don't give it any types of seal of excellence, but I definitely would recommend this game to any family, friends, or any kind of game night situation. Well, this was my review for School of Sorcery by Dr. Finn's Games. I appreciate everyone for watching till the end. If you're here for the giveaway word, the word will be sorcery. So please put that in the comment section down below if you're looking for the entered into the Oath Sworn giveaway. Again, I appreciate everyone for staying to the end. This is Brian. Hit that like button if you want to support the channel. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.